What it do, YouTube? This is Acid Roots Wired. So this is episode 30 of the Guitar Hero walkthrough. So in this particular episode, we're going to tackle some more bonus content here. I would have to say it's a pretty good concept to get some of this. Basically, last time we completed the game just within that relative pitch, but there's still more to do. There's a few more songs. So after this particular episode, there's only going to be 7 songs left, which would result in about 4 more episodes, supposing there's not any errors or song fails. In this particular episode, I want to say that there's at least 1 song fail, but it doesn't detract from it much as far as that particular one goes. I mean, some of this is going to be monotonous, but I kind of realize that sometimes that monotony kind of helps out this channel, so I'd say it's a good concept. I am kind of looking forward to getting to Guitar Hero 2 as far as that pitch kind of goes along with it, but I realize that there's still enough to do here. And with me going back to juggling 3 PlayStation games as far as that particularly going to happen, I just would have to say it might be a little bit before we actually get to Guitar Hero 2, because I didn't realize, I mean, they really packed this game full of particular songs. If I had to guess, I'd probably have to say that like Guitar Hero 2 probably has even more songs than this particular game. And once again, I realize that it has a co-op mode, which I would like to do at some stage, kind of get Cyan involved with that particular one, but we'll just have to see about that. Yeah, I'll definitely try to get through that particular one. I would, of course, like to get to Devil May Cry 2 if I could actually complete the first Devil May Cry. It just depends upon how tough some of these bosses tend to get later on, as whether or not that final boss is going to be a real pain. This would have to say within that relative pitch, but I look after it. Some of these bonus songs here are somewhat of an annoyance, I'd have to say. It's just kind of the concept. Not an annoyance like it's not fun to play, but just I realize that some of these in some cases are tougher than like the standard mode of like the ones in the career mode, which is interesting. It just makes me question about some of these later songs. I don't actually know. We'll have to find out, but it's kind of happens to be a thing. I'm trying to think of some extra stuff that's been going on around this particular time. This music, pitches like that, this stuff. It'd be pretty good to get like a Hobson mixtape. That would be a pretty good appeal. I mean, I've been talking with Jackal Goldpig about the fact that Hobson kind of deleted his social media and some pitches like that. And just the concept about it kind of is, I would really almost like to wonder what Hobson is kind of up to. I kind of feel like this new direction, I mean, even if he doesn't want to put out an album again, I feel like an 8-song, 10-song mixtape would probably not be that much of a deal to kind of get. I think Hobson probably needs to do something like that just to kind of keep his name in people's heads as far as that particular kind of happens. It's just interesting that he's kind of become very reclusive, and there's a lot of rappers nowadays that are kind of taking that particular approach. Like, that's Andre 3000. I don't even get why Andre 3000 doesn't want to put out music anymore. It's just kind of... He just kind of left completely in his prime, and he was on... Gotta take care of something. Got an alarm to take my meds, but yeah, just underneath that particular concept, like Andre 3000... Andre 3000 completely left in his prime when he was dropping songs like Roses and Hey Ya and some of those type ones, and The Whole World, some of those type pitches. Yeah, there's just a bunch of these elusive type rappers nowadays. Eminem is kind of like that. NF is kind of like that. It doesn't necessarily feel like NF posts that commonly. I don't know if he's still as religious bound as he was back in the 2010s, so it's just kind of the concept he's just kind of here and there. Very similar to Eminem, I would say that NF kind of is. It's the same kind of composition that Eminem had, especially like in the 2000s type fare. But just a lot of rappers, I kind of think that like the elusive kind of rapper, the more recluse type rapper is kind of a stereotypical type one to play nowadays. I mean, it used to be kind of clever just when Andre 3000 did it back in the 2000s, but Kendrick, NF, Eminem, some of those type folks, Hobson nowadays, it gets, I mean, I feel like it just disturbs these people in their primes because you only get like so much content. I mean, I realized that Outkast had been around since like 1994 and stuff, but I kind of look after it just being able to say, as a result, you know, there's pretty much never going to be any new Outkast music, or at least from Andre 3000. And I think by this point, I don't know what Andre 3000 was doing with putting out that Flute album. I really don't know what made him think that the world wanted to see this particular stage. I mean, really, I suppose he kind of figured that it had been, 16, 17 years since he had dropped any music, but it's just kind of the concept as far as being able to say that, he lost his kind of sweet spot. And I think he at least can write a good rap song if it really boiled down to it, but I just kind of look after it, just being able to say it's just the lost concept getting the Andre 3000 from like the Hey Ya and the Whole Wide World days. I just question if he could craft a hook as hooky as those particular songs from 20 years ago. But yeah, that's the basic thing. That's about Hopsin there, just being able to talk about that. I was talking with Jack from Goldcook about that in particular, just being able to say it's an odd situation that he decided to delete his social medias and those sorts of things. I don't know. I wonder if he still talks to Swizz anymore. I wonder what Swizz is kind of up to and if he could knock some sense into Hopsin as far as that particular kind of goes. But then that's another situation about that, is just being able to say that the Funk Volume folks, like I don't know if Dizzy Wright and then the other one, Jaron Benton, if they still talk with Hopsin either. It feels like once you leave a label, it kind of feels like that doesn't happen anymore. It's kind of the same thing with Obi Trice. I think Eminem still at least likes Obi Trice, but the concept of seeing them really collaborate anymore is just very infrequent. Obi Trice, who knows what he's doing? He's probably just bagging hood rats at like some pub or something like that. But I think he's still at least rich, but the days of like the Cheers days and the Second Rounds on Me days are just kind of not there. Too bad. He shouldn't have ever left Shady Records, I would have to say. But yeah, this is kind of the concept. It's kind of back and forth with music. It's how you get back to more rock bound type stuff. He's been kind of listening to like a little bit of Alice in Chains and folks like that, Metallica, some of those type folks. Just I almost think I need to get back into listening to the radio or something. I do have a radio and I tend to somewhat listen to it, but I don't know. I just don't know most of these folks that are on the radio. I mean, it's really trendy. That's the thing about some of these type times. Is these folks assume that like you're listening to the radio every day. It's definitely for folks that have those blue collar jobs. They're having to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and it's just like that. Just get to work and some of that. But I mean, the last I checked with real like blue collar radios back in the days when MGK had just dropped like Tickets to My Downfall and some of those, like those Ian Dior and like 24K Gold and some of those type folks. But even those folks, it kind of feels like their 15 minutes of fame is kind of dried up nowadays as well. I'd have to say it's kind of, I don't know, just on radio they only have like about an 18-month kind of window to kind of be around. Maybe some of those folks are still around, but it's just kind of infrequent. Like I know Billie Eilish is really big right now. She's like the it girl. I feel like she's probably like the next Taylor Swift, I'd have to say. She's going to be like the next chick that's probably going to be talked about for the rest of this decade, which is fine. She does have her talent, but yeah, I feel like Taylor Swift is kind of being cast aside nowadays, but she still has her hits, but it's just kind of the concept. As far as being like the songbird of like the times, it's just kind of the thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Guitar Hero 2. I would have to say it's going to be a good concept to kind of get to that one in particular. But my throat's kind of dry. It's kind of the concept about it. But yeah, I just particularly kind of have like a few more episodes to kind of get to here. Kind of the thing about it. Some of these episodes are going to have some screw, so it is at least funny to kind of watch, especially if you're drunk or something like that. I still recommend, picking up like a 12-pack of beer. It's just a good concept, like a good 5-hour playthrough. Watching this from like, I would probably say like 10 o'clock p.m. at night to about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. This just works pretty well. I mean, eventually when I get Guitar Hero 2 posted, when that finally does happen, I'd have to say I might just put both of those games in like a super playlist, just being able to watch all those if you do have the time to be able to do that. Just being able to say it could wind up being like a 10-hour session as far as that particular kind of goes, but definitely for some good fare if you just start. I mean, obviously drink responsibly, but if you do want to cap off like 6, 7, 8 beers and just all of a sudden things start getting woozy and this feels like a karaoke bar, it's a good pitch. It's a classic game here. It's some vintage type stuff. The songs they pick for this game are good. I mean, that's the thing. Some of these, I'm surprised that these concepts just about this particular game are not like boring type ones. I mean, they pick like some of the drifting type ones, the summer stretchers, like the ballad type ones, but they do have some up-tempo type ones in here too. It's just a good concept that the folks that amalgamated this game actually had a good concept of what to do with that. That's a good thing. It just makes me question how Guitar Hero 2 is going to be. Like, I've been trying Like, I had a previous recording segment I was trying to do for this, and I messed up in it, and the cat hit the keyboard, and then it distracted me, and I was going to record this tomorrow, but I decided to get it done today. But basically, in that particular recording, I had said, I'm kind of starting to forget the point, but like, oh yeah, it said that Guitar Hero 2, I had bought that game like 3 different times. By the time I buy this third time, it'll have been the third time that I had bought this game in like the past 8 years. Because the previous 2 times I bought this game, the disc was scratched, which is really annoying. It's because they expect you to play it within like a 10 or 15 day window and take it back. But the thing about it is, I don't mostly play these games unless I'm doing like a walkthrough of it. So it's just kind of the concept that if I only check in with this game about once every 10 days or so, and then on top of that, the scratch on the disc is not shown until like level 4 or something like that. It's just like by the time I do figure out that the game is damaged, it's outside of the window to return it. It's really kind of annoying. And this kind of happens to be the concept about it. But hopefully we can get that. I don't know why so many people just did not take care of Guitar Hero 2 for whatever reason, but we'll eventually get towards that. But that's just kind of the concept. So basically, there's a few more bonus episodes. I'm surprised I got a 93% that. It kind of felt odd to kind of have that pairing, but not going to complain. It's a good concept. We'll get to some more of these, so stay tuned for more Guitar Hero. Subscribe for more fun. Have a wonderful night, and stick with this playlist here, folks.